Hi everybody, I'm going to show you how to get around in Google Tour Builder. I just Googled Google Tour Builder and then click on the link. This automatically interacts with your Google account, so I'm already logged into Google. I can go to create a tour. So it asks you to name your tour. So I'm going to call this Water Biomes, put my name, and create the tour. So the very first landing point is this introduction area. Think about this as an introduction to the overall project. So it's not a particular location. So I'm going to call this Water Biomes. I can select a photo. So I can search for images. And these are labeled for commercial use. And then I can type a summary for my project. You can also change the path color, so you can choose any color you want. So that's the overall introduction. Now I'm going to start with a location. So I'm going to actually add a location. So if I click Add Location, it's going to ask me to type a location. So I'm going to go to John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park. And although that's a very pretty view, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And I'm actually going to use my Pegman. So Pegman is kind of nice. We know that from Street View. We can stand on the street and look at our house or the school or whatever. But Pegman also finds 360-degree spherical pictures that people have taken. So if I drag Pegman and I hover him over the map, I see different spots where people have taken 360-degree pictures. So let's say that I select this one here. So now I can take this 360 picture and I can move it around. I kind of like that. And before I add it to the tour, I get it to the spot where I want it. So let's say that I want it right there. I click Add to Tour. So there it is. I can take out anything up here. I can rename it any way I want. Even if I wanted to move it just a little bit, I could, and it lights this up because I moved it a little bit. It might say, okay, now do you want to lock in this view? Yeah, I want to lock in that view. And it says it's not visible on the map. You sure you want to save it? Yes, save anyway. So there it is. It's on the spot there. So I'm going to go to Add Photos and Videos. And this time I have to go to the More menu and go to Search for Images. So I'm going to search for John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park. Again, these are all labeled commercial for reuse, and I can pick the ones that look like what I'm trying to portray here. So there's a turtle. I know I want to look for some brain coral. There's some right there, some living coral. There must be a sign here someplace. Ooh, there's some more coral. There's a sign. So then you can select all kinds of pictures and then add them to your project. So there they go. And I've got 10 pictures. I can always add more. So for example, let's say I want to add a video. I click on the plus, and I can say, I want to search YouTube. And there are a whole bunch of videos here. Now, hopefully I've looked at these ahead of time and I know exactly what I'm looking for. And let's say that that's the one I pick. I'm going to click Select. And now I have a video. The nice thing about this is I can click on this magnifying glass and I can go to a particular picture and I click Close. So I can put any kind of annotations I want on any of the pictures. So as far as the date, that would be great if you were doing a project, let's say on the Lewis and Clark expedition across the westward expansion. You might want dates in there. And that could even be, you could put a year in there or not. This part down here is where you're going to add your information, and this is a rich text box, so it allows you to bold, italicize, underline, create links, bulleted lists, and so on, all the different things you would expect to be able to do. Now, one thing you need to understand about Google Tour Builder is that Google Tour Builder does not allow for collaboration, not at least within the tool. You can share it with a partner, but it's going to share as read-only. So we have to work on something that we could do as a workaround. So I'm going to open up my Google Drive, and I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call it Underwater Biome Project. And maybe I am collaborating with my friend Laura. So I'm going to click on the plus because I'm going to actually share the folder. That way anything inside of that folder has the same permissions. So I'm going to share with my friend Laura. She has edit privileges to anything in that folder. And I'm going to uncheck this because she really doesn't care about this. But you wouldn't uncheck that. I'm going to click OK. And now there's that project. And you'll notice it's got a little person on it, which tells me that it's saved with those permissions. So I'm going to open that up. And I'm going to create a new document. Warns me that this is a shared folder. Yep, I'm doing that on purpose. And I'm going to name this Underwater Project Notes. Now this, by the way, is already shared with Laura. Remember, we made the permissions already for the folder, so everything inside is already set for us. So when we look at our project, we are now in John Pennekamp Coral Reef, and this is the information we're looking for. What I'm going to do is Laura and I are going to collaborate on this, and we're going to type the information that we find about the John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park, whatever that is. And then maybe I'm even going to look for some links that we can include. So there's a link, so I want to make sure I put that in because I found that for our group. So I put this in. So I make that a link. So this is the kind of stuff then I can copy and paste. So even though Laura and I don't work together, she might have populated that information and then I can paste it right in here. That way we're working together, but only one of us assembles the project. Okay, so let's go back to the projects and let's add another location. So if I click Add Location, now this time I'm going to try the Great Barrier Reef. There's some. If you hover over, you can kind of see a thumbnail. That looks like an underwater one. Let's check that out. Ah, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So I'll spin it around, see what kind of view I've got. Maybe that's what I'm looking for right there. And I add this to my tour. So there's my Great Barrier Reef. I can add some photos. I can click on any one of these and add some notation about it if I wanted to. Again, I can add links. So maybe I'm going to search over here, try to find their official website. So I can highlight the website, go over here, highlight that, click on link, and paste it in. Now, a couple of things about the project. You can reorganize this if you want to. If I go back to introduction, I can see those points on a map. So I can see where they are. So you might put a few spots on there and then think, well, it's kind of zigzagging around a lot, so I'm going to reorder them. Don't forget also, I always forget and have to go back, but you can change the icon here. So if you don't want it just to be a dot, it could be anything you want. Notice it automatically saves. Another thing you may want to know is I'm going to click on Done Editing, and this takes me into a browser view. So this is what my audience would see if they land here. So let's say that they land on the introduction. That's what it's going to look like. It'll look a lot more interesting once I have a lot more spots on the map, but right now it's got a couple of spots and a path. I can collapse this to make my map more of the featured part, or you can expand it and then it's easy to jump around. I can also click on a particular location and go to that. Normally you're going to use the back buttons and next buttons to move around in here. Notice I can click on the arrows and just navigate through my pictures, or I can actually click on it and open it up full screen and navigate that way. Now, I've had students that get to the point here where they think, well, I wanted to move something around, or I have edits that I want to make. How do I do that? I can go to this menu button, go to Edit, and now I'm back in edit mode again. If you want to delete a spot on your map, you just click on the trash can when you're sitting on that particular location. You can hit the delete button and delete it. Now, as far as sharing goes, I'm going to say Done Editing, and this says Share. So a couple of things about sharing. First of all, right now it's private. You're the only one that can see it. So we want to change that because we want to share it with other people. I'm going to say anyone with the link can access that. So click Save. And this is the link, this long link that you have. But you can put that wherever you want it. You can create a QR code from it. You can create a shortened URL for that if you want to. but you can also invite people. So if I wanted to invite my friend Laura, she's my partner, I can say share and save. And notice I don't have an option to allow her to edit. So that's why we created that underwater biome project shared folder so we could collaborate inside of there. I click done and the project is saved. Now when you go back to the home button, this is the landing point. Remember we started here. I can go to my tours and I can get to anything. So the one that I just saved probably was this one. But I can navigate to any of the tours that I've created.